Good evening. We'll call the April 2019 Steering Committee meeting to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Blair?
Here.
Commissioner Harris?
Here.
Commissioner Cush?
Aye.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Here.
Commissioner Reed?
Here.
Commissioner Rather?
Here.
Commissioner Stevens?
Here. Thank you. Our first item is to consider approval of the minutes from our special call meeting in March. Those were distributed shortly after our meeting. Is there a motion regarding those?
Mr. Chairman, I went over the minutes, I found them in order, and I moved to have them accepted.
Motion from Commissioner Harris. Is there a second?
Yes. Second.
Commissioner Cush seconds that. Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Our next item is to fill a commissioner vacancy on the Agricultural Advisory Board. This is to fill the unexpired term of Commissioner Piercy with an expiration date of December 2019. And we have two applications for that. Our first one is from Mr. Shanto Sereno, and he's here. Would you like to address the committee, Commissioner?
I did put an application on to serve because I have family with the agriculture very well when I was in my country now. We have big farm and come here, so I learned several things and tissue, doctor, young, my professor is about agriculture. So that's why I decided to have the dinner at the Lane Agricultural Park. So we had the dinner. And he was chair. They have produced a tissue. That makes it interesting.
Okay, thank you. And then Commissioner Urban called. He can't make it tonight. He had a conflict, but his application is also here for our consideration as well. Is there a motion regarding filling this position? Commissioner McAdoo.
Motion to accept both applicants and each committee member vote on one.
A motion from Commissioner McAdoo. Is there a second?
A second.
Commissioner Harris. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Please call the roll on that.
Commissioner Blair?
Difficult choice to really find men qualified, and I was hoping for a little Solomon's wisdom, but I'll just go with my best option, and that would be Commissioner Sereno.
Commissioner Harris?
Commissioner Irvin?
Commissioner Cush?
I will vote for Shanto.
Commissioner McAdoo?
I will vote for Commissioner Sereno.
Commissioner Reed?
Well, when a man calls your name out, there's a Commissioner Sereno.
Commissioner Rather?
Commissioner Sereno.
Commissioner Stevens?
Sereno.
61.
All right, Commissioner Sereno, your name will be presented at our commission meeting next week, and I'm sure you're very familiar with that.
Thank you so much.
Okay. We need to announce a vacancy on the Public Building Authority. This is the unexpired term of Stephen Waldron, term to expire January 2020. We need to announce a vacancy on the Board of Zoning Appeals. This is for the unexpired term of Veronica Buchanan, term to expire October 2020. Next, we have a recommendation from our county mayor on the membership of our Historic Properties Review Board. Mayor, would you like to introduce your recommendations?
As soon as I get my glasses out, I'll be happy.
I think some are here tonight. Let's see. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our recommendation, of course, Greg Tucker is our county historian, and Mr. Tucker helped with several of the selections. Mike Pickelsheimer, he's an architect and currently chairs our Public Building Authority. Ms. Charlotte P. is on the Planning Commission. We have Mr. Bill Jakes here, Mr. Bill Bryson here, Mr. Bill Shaw here. So we have 4, I believe, out of those that I named. These are my recommendations. And they will, what this group will do is establish the guidelines, I guess the rules. This is our first time to enter into this type of structure, but they'll set the rules and the guidelines as far as who qualifies. I would assume there'll have to be visual inspections of, does it meet that threshold, the minimum threshold based on the what the county commission passed, and instruct them how many years of tax abatement that they do get, and then sign off on it. So it's my slate of recommendations to this board.
Okay, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept these individuals that the mayor has presented to us.
All right, motion from Commissioner Reed. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Rather. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, you'll all be
Yeah,
forwarded to the
thank
full
you.
full
Thank you
county
for
commission next Thursday night for consideration there. And they'll have their work cut out for them because there's no other county that has a pattern that we can follow. So we'll be the trendsetter.
Well, absolutely. We'll lead by example.
There you go.
Okay, next
Mr.
week.
Chairman, let me just say, these individuals right here, I think they can come up with that pattern. Because if you know the majority of them's background, I think they have that ability that we have here. And I mean, when you know what they do, whatever, I think we've got that opportunity.
I think it's going to be a model for others to follow.
Absolutely.
So, all right, our next item is to discuss a resolution from Sumner County which encourages the state legislature to remedy online sales tax collections with an equitable distribution of revenues collected based upon a prorated percentage of the population of unincorporated versus incorporated population of the county. And Mayor Ketchum, would you like to discuss that?
Sure. Mayor Anthony Holt, who is the county mayor that I serve with, he serves as chairman of several committees in Nashville, the RTA Regional Transit Authority, and I serve with him on the GNRC as well. But this was in an effort, his county passed this. This happens a lot for those who've been here. A lot of times we'll get commissions that will pass things and try to encourage other county commissions across the state to get behind and at least send a message to the General Assembly that we collectively as a body will send it to our delegation once passed, and encourage them to support the piece of legislation that is before them before they adjourn to go home. That bill is still alive, and subcommittees in the House are already starting to shut down, so they're planning on leaving probably by the end of this month. They'd like to, even though the governor just gave a state of the state 2 weeks ago, he was a month late. It may push them on into May. I'm thinking it probably will. But this is a good opportunity for us to state our position on this resolution. Everybody should have that on their pad, what the wording says. We, like every other county, are always looking for opportunity for additional revenue. And as our big box stores continue to close down across the country, they're closing here as well. JCPenney's and Sears and et cetera. So this is an opportunity for us to, I was questioned about Amazon. Somebody said, well, I'm paying taxes to Amazon. Well, that was an agreement when Amazon first came here. They did not charge for the first 2 years, but for us to give them the state abatement that was given to them to encourage them to locate their three locations in the state of Tennessee. Their first was in Hamilton County, the second one was here, and the third one was in Wilson County, right across the line there on 840. They agreed to start paying sales tax over the internet. And but I'm sure many of you, that's not the only place that you buy from over the internet. There's a lot of other places that are not collecting that and remitting it back to the state. So as things continue with internet opportunities to buy from, there's going to be less and less tax dollars for us to collect from, because they don't have a physical presence in our community.
And this resolution asks that the tax dollars follow where the purchasers
Where
located.
the purchase is, where you make the purchase from Smyrna or Murfreesboro or wherever it may be.
It just seems like the way of the future.
Well, you know, it's going to dry up, and if, you know, these big boxes are not for here for us to collect from, we have to look for other sources, and I don't think any of us around this table want to put it back on the feet of the property taxpayers.
Is there a motion on this proposal?
Make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Harris, is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Rather, any discussion on sending this to the full commission next week? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Our next item is to discuss a bill in the legislature requiring counties to share funds received in capital projects with city school systems. Mr. Sandvig told me that he was going to be here this evening. I don't see him yet. Ms. Dolan, do you know enough about this to present the idea, or should we put this at the end of our agenda and see if he's still going to make it?
Well, I can wait.
Well, without objection, why don't we put that to the end of our agenda to see if Mr. Sandvig comes in before we get there. Number 8, policy for employee complaints about human resources or budget department. We've talked about this for a couple of months now. And we also had Commissioner Phillips' proposal from last month that got deferred this month too, about changing the structure of the HR department to put it under the mayor instead of having it under a steering committee. So both of those are kind of his proposal, and then the thing we've talked about for a couple of months are both up in the air. And I would like for us to get some kind of a settlement on these tonight if we can. So I had emailed out some information earlier that Josh and I had worked on a couple of months ago and refined about a way for employees to make complaint if they had one about either of those departments. And of course, that's assuming that both of them still report to the commission.
Mr. Chairman, I've done a lot of thinking on this. And one of the things that, how I personally believe, is the mayor works with the Sonia very closely. And I think that she should go and work under his umbrella, but I do not think she should, anything to do with her firing or raises, I think that should stay with us. I think that since she works with him closely, he would be the best person to review her because he would be dealing with her day to day. But I also want the commission to continue to maintain the powers that it has and not give the mayor the fire unless it's for cause. But I think that's something that I want the commission, that's how I want it to be. I'd like the commission to still have where she doesn't have to feel that it's any political retribution or anything like that. And that's how I'll vote for it.
Any other discussion, or is there any kind of motion?
I'd like to make a motion to send this to the commissioners, and I'd like to get more feedback from them as well. I think it should go to the full commission for discussion.
So which? So what
I'm going to a motion for send it to the commission for discussion.
Moving
this to the commission meeting, full commission for discussion.
Are you talking about moving the HR department under the mayor, or the part about where people file their complaints?
Problem about where, okay, I want to move to where we're going to discuss her going underneath the mayor. I'd like to move that to the full commission for discussion.
Okay. Is there a second?
So,
Commissioner McAdoo. Any discussion on that motion?
So if we do change this, we have to change the private act?
That is correct. It won't take effect probably till next year at this point. So was your motion to include what Commissioner Phillips presented last month?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I ask, just for information, whatever, Commissioner Phillips presented us with a resolution the last time. Did it not say that, or did any of you get a chance to review that? I think that's what we said we were going to do. Did anybody review that resolution?
He read it to us last month at our
I
committee
know,
meeting.
but did anybody look at it again?
I haven't looked at it since our last meeting myself.
My understanding of that resolution, having not looked at it for a few weeks, was that it did fall under the mayor. However, he could not hire or fire without
Commission's approval.
commission approval.
That's correct.
That's the way I understood it.
Yeah, which I think is what you just said.
What he
Right.
said, what he said.
Well, I just want to make this comment, and it's a comment that I'm sure everybody in here knows, and I don't have to say it. I'm real sensitive about employees. I've been one, and I've had them. And it didn't take me long in management positions and further up and now owning a business that the greatest asset this county has are what I call the boots on the ground employees. And however this shakes out, I'm just, I'm wanting to make sure that we're doing something that the employees are comfortable with, that some people try not to talk about these things. But I've said it before, if there's a female who has a complaint, I understand going to the county attorney, but I think if that county attorney were a female, it would be more comfortable for that female employee. Now, I don't know the fix to that. I don't know, but I certainly just want to do what is best. Whatever has been done doesn't mean you have to always keep doing it. I just want to make sure the employees have a place to go that they're comfortable with, and that someone will immediately upon that complaint start working to get that resolved. And that may be what we're doing here. I just want to make sure that happens.
Well, the thing is, we're supposed to be giving HR a review. That's our job. We haven't done that. When's the last time you had a review, Sonia?
2010.
How long?
I think it's been 2010.
2010. I mean, that's 9 years. And that's not us showing our job. So why would we not have the mayor who would be able to, he would know more than we do. We meet once a month. He would know more because you're dealing with him more day-to-day operations, and I think that his recommendation would be a big part of her review. Because, I mean, we ain't done it in 9 years. So I don't see how we can sit here and say we're going to give her a review when we haven't done it. So I think it'd be best if we allow her to go underneath the mayor and to get a better input on the review. But I also do not want to get the impression that this commission has given up power to fire or anything or relieve her. I mean, that I want to stay here with the commission, but I think it should go underneath the umbrella of the mayor.
Mr. Mack.
I'll second it because I know the time frame we're looking at. We're looking at, like you said, a year, approximately a year. It won't go down to our state reps till next year. So something of this magnitude, we need to get the full commission involved. That's my personal thinking. And if we get the commissioners involved right now, at an early date, on the floor, we can hear all their inputs, all our inputs, delete, add, do, so on and so forth, and hopefully come up with a final bill that we all like. So that's one reason I want to go ahead and get it to the full commission.
Commissioner Blair.
Are we taking care of two issues here? One, that human resources would come under the mayor's direction and evaluation, and then the other one is to report a complaint. So don't we have two separate issues that we're dealing with?
It sounds like it, the way it's.
Well, we do, and if in a year or so, if the HR department ends up coming under the mayor's umbrella, then he would deal with the complaints that are filed about that department. It wouldn't come to us. Of course, we still got the budget office. But, until that point happens, we have two separate issues.
So is all of that going to be contained under Commissioner Harris's motion of going to the whole commission?
My understanding is his motion is to send to the commission floor for the full body to decide whether we want to move the HR department from under the steering committee's umbrella to the mayor's umbrella.
Okay.
And so that doesn't have anything to do with the issue about what to do with the complaint now.
So we've got 1A and then we have 1B.
Correct. It's two separate issues, I think.
All right.
Is there any more discussion on this motion? All right, let's vote. Let's call the roll, please.
Commissioner Blair,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Cush,
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo.
Yes.
Commissioner Reed,
No.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens.
Yes.
6 to 1.
All right, Mr. Sandy just came in, I think. There he is.
I understood that it was at 6 o'clock. My
Okay,
apologies.
we started at 5:30, so we've covered
Well,
most
you're
of our
early then. You're early.
items.
Well, I've just been sitting at my desk. Thank you.
Well, welcome to our meeting, and
Thank
we
you.
just read the agenda item about this bill about sharing revenues. If you'd like to present the basics for us, we
It
appreciate it.
sounds as though this is dead. We really hope so. I think. Plenty of copies. This is, there was a court case with Athens City Schools, I think, Lisa, and that we did not have to share.
Can we have Lisa join us up
Sure,
here?
if you'd like to join us.
If he asked her a question, she may have more to answer.
I'm going to be amening here.
Safety in numbers.
Yes, yes. And Mr. Spurlock is en route back from the school board conference, or he would be here. We started back when Dr. Bullen was on head of budget, and when BEP 2.0 started, we were able to, at his suggestion, we shifted 6 cents from the general purpose school budget because we got a healthy influx of state funds. And we were able to shift 6 cents to that separate capital projects fund for small projects. From 2.5 to, it never hit 6. It never hit 6. Our budget might have hit 6 because of amendments and all that. But that money wasn't originally shared. After this AG's opinion came out, we quit sharing it. The cities weren't happy. This bill is an attempt.
We're 6 now.
Well, we dropped back.
Well, we dropped, yeah.
Yeah, with the
I thought we
Equivalent.
started out at 5.
We started at 5.
Okay.
We
We
did,
started at
and
5.
we did reach to 6.
We did
that
reach
last
6.
time.
Yeah,
They were able to
okay.
give us some money. Give us
Okay.
the second time. They were
Okay.
giving money.
So, but we did not have to share it. So that means
We
about
shared for a time.
15%.
We
Right.
shared for a time.
Yes. We haven't for several years, which we
haven't
like.
we haven't when this court case was
Right.
finalized, then we
Mhm.
stopped sharing.
Yeah.
But the cost is over $600,000 to the school system in this particular fund for capital projects.
Mhm. And we don't have enough money for the capital projects we need to be doing already in the fund. But anyway, the additional concern I have when I read the legislation, and I checked with our staff attorney today, I think it is so broad. I think it could be interpreted as we would share K-12 building funds. Right now, when we build an elementary school, we have to use shared money. We'd say, if we borrowed $100 million for elementary schools, we would borrow 115, pay Murfreesboro 15 million, and then we would proceed with our 100 million. I'm concerned that this is phrased so broadly. It just says capital projects. I think there would be an excellent chance we could wind up with a ruling down the road that capital projects include the 7-12 projects which now we do not have to share with Murfreesboro. Murfreesboro educates no 7th through 12th grade students. So I think we could face a substantially higher cost than $600,000.
Yeah, if that is interpreted
Yeah.
that particular way.
Yeah.
But didn't your staff attorney doesn't think that, did she feel like it was the way we were thinking, it's just on, not the K-12? I mean, not 7th and 12, we wouldn't have to share, but it could be
It
interpreted
could
that
be
way.
interpreted that way, and the courts are littered with law cases where
Doesn't matter what you intended, it's what
it
it
doesn't
says.
imagine what the intent, it's what the language is.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Where does this bill stand presently?
We hope, we hope it's gonna die.
Yeah.
Is it in?
I think it's gonna die.
Okay.
But we really want it. I am very concerned that the next time if this passed, maybe not the next time, but the time, when we built another middle school where we share we share 1/3 of the money because of 6th grade at the middle school. But I'm very concerned that within a school or two, we could wind up.
The House and the Senate sponsor from Johnson City. I've talked to Senator Crow, and he's basically carrying it for Representative
Yes,
Hill.
sir.
And I think he's just doing a favor to Matthew.
Yeah.
And carrying a piece of legislation I don't think is going to get through. And Rusty sits on Senate Education. I don't think it's going to get out of that committee. That'd be devastating to us, and I voiced my opinion to him.
Good. Yes, thank you.
That we don't let that live.
Right,
Right. Yeah.
it's just gonna be.
And the fiscal note, and this is one of my frustrations, it's on the back side. Equal and corresponding shifts in local funding amongst LEAs. For us, if it got extended to that, it would not be. It would be a sizable shift
Yeah,
away from us, an increase in our debt service would go to the city of Murfreesboro for those rates, if that happened. And then there's the 600,000 or so each year.
Which, is that a penny now? The 600,000?
It's a little under a penny for us.
Is there a motion?
I think this is really just for information,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Mhm.
Do we want to send something and ask our legislators to oppose it, or
That would be advisable.
that's what I was thinking we were wanting to do with it? So is there a motion to forward this on to the commission for consideration to send our legislators?
So moved.
Commissioner Blair, second. Commissioner Rather, any more discussion on this motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much.
Strange to see you across.
I know. But I stuck my head in. Well, look, I came to where with the meeting. Oh, there's one.
Good to see you, Ms. Sandy.
Good to see you.
Okay. Members, I wanted to accommodate Mr. Sandvik so he wouldn't have to stay. But we're kind of back to what Commissioner Blair called 1B of our discussion with this Human Resources and Budget Office discussion. And that is, where does an employee file a complaint? What's the process for resolving the complaint if one is brought against there? So assuming that the HR department ultimately ends up under the mayor in about a year, what happens if somebody needs to file a complaint now while it's under our oversight? And then the same thing with the budget office, which there's no proposal to change that from the budget committee to under the mayor. Like I said, this proposal that I had sent to you a couple of months ago and sent out again today is something that Josh and I had worked over for quite some time, and we think we've covered all the bases with that. Our employees need a very clear way, if they have a complaint, to know their voice is going to be heard. And we believe that the county attorney's office is probably the most neutral place for them to file a complaint. to have it dealt with if they have one, about one of those offices. And of course, if the HR department ultimately ends up under the mayor, then we could change our handbook or change the rules at that point to clarify then what somebody would do. So what's the will of the committee on moving forward?
Well, have you discussed this with the new county attorney?
He was involved with one of the discussions on the phone about it, so he's aware of the basics of it.
So is this for human resources and budget and finance?
Correct.
But like, the other complaints will still go to Sonia, this is just if someone gets hurt, or hurt, right?
For the budget office.
Okay. Then our attorney fees will go up. Mayor, do you have input on this?
I would say it's a little bit premature based on the last action. Wait until after the commission decides on the first one and then bring it up after the full commission meeting. You may say that it's not premature. I'm not sure that even it'll take a year to get, if the commission chooses based on the last action. I'm not sure what committees are still open that would be able to, because usually as long as the General Assembly's in, they can take private acts, as long as the major committees are still open.
But we could always defer the motion or defer the topic for another month to see what happens.
Now, what did we send to the commission to
HR.
leave HRO?
No, his motion was to send it for full discussion by the whole body of whether or not the HR director would answer to me or to the steering committee.
Well, it seems like that probably should happen before this. That's what you're saying?
Yes.
It's pretty good. I can see that. So I'd like to make a motion to defer this until it has gone through the full commission.
So how long is your deferral? Because it can only be for up to 2 meetings.
Next month?
So defer to the May steering committee meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Reed seconds. Did you have a comment too?
Yeah, I do. There was a reason I voted no on the last one, because that's why I asked everybody who even looked at this resolution, because I looked back at the minutes, and that's what we said. We were going to give everybody opportunity to look at this and read it and get us some opinion. That was the motion when it was made, and that's why I wanted to know, because what we're going to give to the commission and ask them to do is to create this resolution all over again. I mean, that's what it looks like to me, and what we're talking about. That some of those answers we had are going to be similar to what we're answering here. So I think if we defer this, this will give us time to go back and digest this again and go from that direction.
Okay, we have a motion to defer and a second. All in favor of that signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That'll be deferred until the May steering committee meeting. Item number 9, commission chairman structure. This was an item that was held over from last month. There was a request that some information be sought from the county clerk's office. Rick Spence spent quite a while going through the annals of history and searching through the minutes of steering committee meetings and full commission meetings to see what he could find about this topic. And he only found a couple of things which were forwarded out to everyone. I think it was just a couple of pages from minutes from 1982 and maybe a committee meeting from about that time period too. And then I think Commissioner Harris wanted to know, your question was, when was the last time that a commissioner chaired the commission? Is that correct?
Yes.
And that was also answered in the information that Rick Spence sent out to us, which was in 1982. And that was, Jim Cope was elected as the chairman of the commission. I talked to several of the commissioners that were there at that time, and they told me that the county attorney position became open shortly after that, and Mr. Cope applied to be the county attorney, and of course the commission appointed him into that, and he served for many, many years in that role. And of course, after he left the commission to become the county attorney, the commission was left to decide who was going to be its chairman, and newly elected county executive at that time, John Mencken, they put him in there, and the reason was he had a lot of support out there in the community, and really nice guy, and he had been on the commission right before he got elected mayor and was up to speed on all the issues that were going on. And it just kind of has stayed that way ever since. So that's my understanding of how we got to be where we are. So Commissioner McAdoo, I hope that that answers your questions. It was quite a search for Mr. Spence, but that's all he could come up with to help us.
Well, he could have went to the archives, but it was more than what you just said in 1982. Originally, the chairman of the commission was formed in 1978. You had Floyd Wilson as chairman of the commission, and Ben Hall McFarland was county executive. And the reason it didn't go over too good then, each one of them was at each other's throat. They didn't like each other, per se. And the county executive had veto power. In other words, if he vetoed anything we sent up, that was it. Couldn't go no further. And we'd be looking for the county executive. He may be gone fishing or something, doing whatever, because they didn't like each other. We lost a lot of information that was held in his office that wasn't given to the commission, even to the point of where the state was going to withhold our funds on the education end because they had never heard nothing from us. So it got real ugly. That was the first time. Second time, you mentioned Jim was over the commission, and it was better, per se, because John Mack and Jim, all of them got along. But the main thing that the commission at that time was looking at, and the reason that it was done away with, so to speak, is that they felt like the county executive was in that position full time, and he was here full time to do that job, not the chairman of the commission. And so it died at that point, and we never did do it again. So that's basically what happened. And I think if you talk to any commissioner that was back then, Bill may remember some of it.
Yeah, I wasn't on the commission at that time, but I do remember. I remember some of that.
And it was a mess, but you probably could go to the archives and dig out more, but you know, that's basically the reason it's done away with. And the main point to be brought up is that if you had a chairman of the commission and a county executive, county mayor, or whatever, and they went out against each other, definitely will not get anything done. So I'll leave it at that.
Commissioner Rather?
I wasn't around back then, not here anyway, I was around doing something. This is to me, pretty significant. I know it was like that different ways back then, and there were reasons behind that, but we're here, not there. And I still kind of struggle with, okay, if we did this and put a commissioner in as chairman, would that maybe take something off your shoulders? Because I know you got a lot on, I could imagine you have a lot on your shoulders. And do you think this would relieve you to focus on other things? Or this is going to complicate future things? I mean, I don't know how you look at it.
Okay.
Just as, pretend like you're just somebody sat across the table from me instead of the mayor. Could you tell me? I just want to hear your thoughts.
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner. I feel like that it's part of my everyday work. My office and myself work tirelessly to support the county commission. The next item you're going to look at is to support staff for the county commission. I just ask this committee, what are we not doing for you now? And if there needs to be improvement, we're prepared to do that. I think between the four of us, Steve, Vicky, and Laura and myself, we do a pretty good job of keeping up as the requests come in from the different chairs of the committees to make sure that notice goes out, keeping I'm working every day trying to make sure that every one of you are informed on every step that we're currently doing. I'll give you an example of Mayor Joe Boyd Liggett. But as you know, Mayor Liggett from down Marshall County, he just retired after 16 years. When I used to represent Marshall County, they had a different system to where he did not serve as chairman of the commission, a county commissioner did. That changes every 4 years, just like the mayor does. But unfortunately, he was there for 16 years, but his chairman changed sometimes every other year, sometimes every year, and he would have a different chairman. The last one that he had worked on the other side of Nashville and would come sliding in at the last minute right before a full commission meeting and had no background about, he never called and inquired about what was even on the agenda to show up and try to lead the meeting, compared to having the everyday working knowledge that when the commission asked him information, he couldn't respond. All he did was just basically run the meeting with Robert's Rules of Order. So, there was Commissioner, you made a comment that you've always felt that it was, there should be a separation between the legislative body and the executive branch. My question to you is, I believe Vice President Pence serves in the executive branch, but also serves as president of the Senate in the legislative branch. So I don't think you get any higher than that. So I feel like that it's part of my job to respond to the commission and the everyday workings of that office, and to have you prepared as chairman of the commission.
Commissioner Rather, do you have a follow-up first?
Well, I guess I do, but it's maybe premature because did you have a comment?
Commissioner McAdoo raised his hand.
Well, Commissioner Stevens and some other commissioners, some of you are on the committee, on the steering committee. Several years ago, we looked at this. We looked at the mayor's workload, and we came up to discussing in the full commission meeting about hiring a lawyer to help the mayor out. Then it was dropped that that may cost too much, so let's just hire him some help because he needs it. So we came up with a plan and we came up with a position that we called the deputy mayor. And the deputy mayor was assigned to the mayor to assist the mayor, to help the mayor with his workload. Under the previous mayor, he was like a hands-on Banny Rooster. And he set his deputy mayor in a corner, and he did it all himself, basically. Now, since we started out this new term here, we got a deputy mayor that is a Banny Rooster. But he's following up on everything. We had missed seeing him or whatever he's asked to do or whatnot. So we got a situation that the workload of the mayor was heavy, and we tried to take care of it with the deputy mayor. Now, if we go to a chairman of the commission, then we're gonna relieve the mayor of his workload. What am I gonna do with the deputy mayor? Chairman?
Well, that's certainly something that would need to be evaluated. You know, would the position still be needed? Would it need to be needed in the role that it is now? Would it be something different? We'd have to consider that at budget time. Commissioner Rather first, and then we'll see if we can suspend the rules and let others speak.
This is, I guess, uncharted territories for a few of us. I'm of the opinion that this is something, and I'm not a fan of deferring anything. That's part of that can just got kicked to another month. However, something like this, I would like to make the motion that we take this and present it to the full commission, because there's a whole lot more of them than there are sitting at this table, and they have as much to say so, in my opinion, as any of us up here, although we're on this committee, it's part of our job, but they're fellow commissioners too. So I'd like to make the motion to defer this or refer this or yield it, whatever you want to call it, to the full commission.
So that would be sending just the concept of the commission without a recommendation, either way, just for discussion purposes only.
Well, no, I can make a recommendation now that once I heard from other commissioners, I may think, well, that was a dumb idea of mine, because they're bringing up some really, really good points. And again, I don't like delaying stuff. I like, it presents itself, we deal with it and make a decision. But I think we need to involve the other commissioners in that discussion. So I guess that's my motion. I would just like to hear from other commissioners.
So your motion is to send the concept to the full commission to be discussed at our April meeting?
Yes. Is that appropriate?
Yeah, that's a reasonable motion. Is there a second?
Can I make a point?
Let's get a second. Let's see if we can get on the floor first. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Blair seconds. Okay, Commissioner Harris, you're recognized.
Well, one of the things I want to comment about is support staff with county commission. I'm kind of like with my good friend Commissioner Cush. I don't want to grow government any more than I have to. And I want to talk about Vicki because she was on vacation last week and I had a lot of stuff to send out and she got it taken care of. And I think all my stuff has been handled to the point. I mean, she's done everything that I've ever asked of her. And I don't see no reason why we have to look at hiring somebody else. I mean, I don't see it broke. So I don't see no reason growing our government to get something that I don't think is necessary. Now, as far as the mayor goes, I don't see to where we're having a major problem with this. I'm absolutely think that the structure that we have right now is more than adequate. I like that he doesn't have a veto vote. And I like the fact that we all work together and he knows that. Now, if we're gonna get clogged up in a bunch of arguing and all that stuff with personalities and all that stuff, then, you know, we're gonna be just completely bogged down. And I think the system that we got now, and I said that when I got elected, I would be transparent. I would always stand up for what I believe in. And I think that the mayor as our chairman right now is more than good. And I think there is no reason to hire anybody to support Vicky or, you know, I think that we got plenty of support, all we need right now, and not have to pay more money or grow on what we got right now. So I have seen no reason to do that. That's how I feel.
I think a couple of other commissioners wanted to make a point. I saw a couple of hands. Can we have a motion to suspend?
Motion to
rules?
suspend.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Cush, all in favor, that signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Commissioner P., you were first.
Well, call that Commissioner Rather, I was around, but not here. But my father was here, and he was commissioner during the time period Commissioner McAdoo's discussed, and my father and I discussed this. And he said it was one of the worst mistakes that the current commission made.
Almost gunfights.
Right, he said the government basically shut down. He said it was a terrible situation. Of course, in that case, you know, where you had two people that were in conflict with each other, you know, it would possibly be better. I've heard of, I think Manchester has had a system where they elected a chairman from their midst. There's been a few fist fights up there too. But, you know, just saying from a past experience from commissioners that I respected, of course my father being one of them, is that didn't work too well. And my personal take on this is whoever the mayor is, and when I was first elected in '98, there were some commissioners that said, hey, we might want to make somebody else a chairman instead of the mayor. At that time it was County Executive Nancy Allen. And somebody asked me, and I said, well, here's my personal opinion. As long as she was elected by the majority of the people in this county to be the county executive or mayor as it became, then I think they should be chairman. Now, unless that person shows me that they don't have the ability to lead, if that was the case, and that has not been the case with our current mayor, then I see no reason to change, because I think that our constituents are the ones that speak loudest in this. Last thing I want to say is kind of say the same thing Commissioner Harris did. You know, we'd be growing the commission by adding people. I don't want to do that either. I don't see adding another person when we don't have to. I think we added the deputy to the mayor, you know, for the reason because of the workload, and I see that it's being dispersed a lot better than it used to be now than it actually was in the past administration. So far as that goes, I'm happy. And as far as you know, being chairman of budget, when I've called, I've always got a quick, prompt response. Even when I wasn't chairman of anything, I always got a quick, prompt response, either from our budget people or from Vicki in the mayor's office. So I mean, I think you don't break what's working, and that's kind of my opinion on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner P. Commissioner Allen, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm basically going to echo a lot of what I said. I want to yell from the back room. Invite myself to the table. I'm going to echo a lot of what I said at the last meeting. And I want to be abundantly clear that my position is no reflection of Vicki or Mayor Ketron at all. And I was like-minded of those of you that say if it's not broken, don't fix it. That was always my position when this had come up in previous years when we had discussed this. Because we've discussed it, seems like every year, every other year since I was elected. It didn't become clear to me that it seems problematic, in my opinion, to have the mayor also be the chairman when we as a commission have employees who report to us, and it was Sonia and Lisa. And so that may change, you know, if we make the decision to move HR away. But when you have a situation where somebody has lodged a complaint against an employee who reports to you, and you never hear about it, and this was not Mayor Kettering, this predates him, months. This commission didn't know that there was a complaint lodged against one of our employees for months. And I think that's inappropriate. So at a bare minimum, if we decide to leave this model as it is, I think we need to consider a policy adoption of some sort that says if we're going to retain the right to supervise that person in terms of hiring and firing, then maybe we keep it the way, maybe we do that policy situation the same way where complaints against HR come here, complaints against budget or finance go to budget. Because my concern is this: if you've got the mayor, who's also the chairman, if the mayor's notified of a complaint, you've technically also notified the commission of a complaint because he's the chairman of the commission. But you've notified the commission without a single commissioner knowing about it. You've also set up these two positions to insulate them from elections. Now, if that person that you've insulated them from is now the chairman of the commission, who they report to, that insulation doesn't really work so well anymore. So it's just muddy. It's not clear, and in my mind, it sort of conflicts each other. The second piece to that is, if something happens to the mayor, God forbid, the deputy to the mayor has no constitutional authority to make any decisions or act in any way on behalf of this county. That responsibility falls to the chair of the commission. If you lose the mayor, who's also the chair, you've lost two leadership positions immediately. So now you're to the chairman pro tem. Again, if we keep the model that we're in, I think we're going to have to very closely scrutinize who is in that chairman pro tem position. Because I think whether it's the chair or chairman, I think that person needs to be hand in glove involved, not permission-wise, not decision-making, but informed, so that if something happens, this county can still function. It wouldn't be at 100% because the person who's here, like you said, day to day isn't here, but we'd at least have some idea what we're doing. And so it didn't feel, until I really began examining this, it didn't feel dangerous to me. It didn't feel like there was anything really at risk. So the more I studied it and did my own research, these were the two things that came out to me. And you all know my strength above all else is logic. And so I tried to follow the logic through the whole process to see, you know, when you're making a decision, what makes the most sense. And so in my mind, the logical thing is to have the commission have its chairperson, have the mayor be the mayor, have them work hand in glove. If it remains the same person, then that hand in glove needs to be the chairman pro tem. So those are my thoughts, and like I said, I've been thinking about this for a while. Happy to answer questions if I didn't make my position clear. But again, this is still reflection, and so we talked about making this change in between elections. And I wish to heavens we'd had this conversation then, because it's always going to feel like you're firing the current mayor when you don't rehire him to be the chairman. And that's what's going to cause hurt feelings. That's what's going to, and so to your point, Commissioner McAdoo, you know, if we don't get along and don't work together, that's on us. It doesn't matter what title anybody has. If we don't get along and we don't work together, if we don't put Rutherford County first, that's on all of us, and shame on us. And I think the people in this room, and I think the people in this commission wouldn't do that. I really genuinely believe that. I've been up here for 8 years. I'm in my 9th year now. And I think this is probably the most professional, engaged commission that we've ever had. We've got some inexperienced ones and you're learning, but just my confidence is high in this commission. So, and my confidence is high in this mayor to be able to work with this commission. So, those are my thoughts.
Commissioner McAdoo.
You mentioned Chairman Pro Tem. I served in that capacity under County Executive Nancy Allen. And it worked out great because she would call me in the office and we would go over items just in case she couldn't make it to the full commission meeting. And we communicated almost on a daily basis. People ask why you didn't want it no more. That's one reason, because it turned into a full-time job.
It's a real commitment.
Full-time job. So it went great. Chairman pro tem position is basically set up to replace the mayor if something happened to him. So you brought up that you got professional people now. And I think the chairman pro tem we got now is a professional person.
Yes.
And I think that the office is well represented as it is. You know, that's just me. And I can speak on that chairman pro tem position because I had it for 2 years. And it worked great.
Well, and I think your point was well made too. And I'm glad to know that Nancy did that. I didn't know that's how closely you guys worked together.
Bob, no, I mean, Commissioner P, no back then.
But you know, like we talked about Mayor Burgess, that wasn't his style. You know,
I know he was hands on himself.
Right. And so I don't know that he utilized the chairman pro tem in that same way. And I don't know really what Mayor Ketchum's done yet with the pro tem.
Well, I think you do, because in the issue that we had with Mrs. Street.
Yes.
Okay, so
yes.
don't say that, because you're
Yes, I
very
did.
well informed,
Well-
and I kept the whole county commission informed.
Right.
When the HR and risk management, that issue came about, I brought in Chairman Pro Tem to sit through, did I not?
Right. He
Sonia?
really attended it at my suggestion through Ms. Street. I was the one who suggested that she invite
She
him to join.
requested him, and then she
Right.
didn't want him.
Well, and I suggested him because I felt like a commissioner
Well,
needed to be in that room, and I asked Commissioner Phillips,
Sure.
go in as the conscience of the commission was what I asked him.
Plus, he was an HR director
Right,
for
exactly.
Heritage Dairies,
Yes.
which was on McCroner, so he had expertise in that.
Right.
You know, but I don't feel it's a dangerous issue. If the chairman pro tem that this body right here selected Mr. Phillips to be the chairman pro tem, if something happened to me, you know, that's not going to look.
Right.
Right. You keep referencing something
Yes.
happened. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I've been down that road once.
I'm
I'm not
with
going to
you.
go in there anytime soon again. All right. It could be a beer truck instead. But anyway, we have a great staff right now, and between the deputy to the mayor and the office staff, I think it'd be a smooth transition.
Commissioner Reed?
You know, I just think we're very fortunate. We don't have to go to the archives. We have, he's seen them all. I think he went back to 1811. When we first organized this,
Not
but
quite.
we just need to put him in Tupperware and keep him in the archives, what we got here. But it is fortunate that we do have this expertise to come here. But, you know, this whole situation, as it's been brought up, I have to tell you, I've spent a lot of time looking at this and thinking about it, which way we go and whatever. Some of you sitting around this table knew about a year and a half ago, I was also thinking of possibly running for the position of mayor. And I looked at it awful hard and heavy and thought a whole lot about it. And in fact, I remember one cold day, I met with our current mayor right here as he was going that direction too. And I met with him and told him, I said, you know, I've seen that job and I've decided I don't want it. And I've thought about these same issues when I was thinking about the possibility of running and whether or not I would be chairman of the commission or not. And I had already had in my mind not to be chairman, but I had different reasons, different ways to do it. And I think it has been somewhat in the past that determination has been based upon the individual who's actually run as, you know, judge, county executive, or mayor, whichever it was, and that's what we worked there. And we've gone that direction. But as we've gotten here tonight and discussed this right here, I think we have possibly seen the reasons why this may need to go to the full commission, where we do bring in some different thoughts and different ideas of what we want to do. Strange that you mentioned of the professionalism of our county commission. I received a call today, and it's from an individual that lives here, but his occupation is over in Williamson County. And he was talking about the fact of how he used to watch our county commission and our county committee meetings for fun. He said they were entertaining. And he says, now I watch due to the fact that they're more professional. Said the commission and the individuals who are responsible for this have brought more professionalism to it. And he said, I've seen this, and now I watch it to get information about the county that I live in. And he didn't even call me about that. He was just saying that. And no, he was not just pulling my leg. He wasn't wanting something, not a thing at all. And I think that's a part of what we need to continue to strive at. And I think, Mr. Chairman, that's why I'm going to call for the question of this motion, because I think we need to go ahead and advance this on to the full commission.
So Commissioner Reed calls for the question. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Cush. All in favor of calling for the question signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so now we're voting on the motion to send this topic to the commission to be discussed at the April meeting. And let's call the roll on that, please, Mrs. Scarlett.
Commissioner Blair,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
No.
Commissioner Cush,
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo,
No.
Commissioner Reed,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens.
Yes,
5 to 2.
5 to 2.
Mr. Chairman, may I say something, since I did make a second? That I've watched this issue continue to come before this committee, and because it is so important, I felt like discussion before the 21 members should be had. So, I didn't think that the 7 of us should make that decision for the 21 of them. So, I watched in the past where I think when Mayor Burgess was first elected mayor, I think this issue came up at that time, and it was resolved. So here we are again with it. So I believe it's an opportunity for the 21-member commission to put it one way or the other.
Okay. Commissioner Rather.
Well, just kind of a footnote here. We recently had a discussion about the county attorney in one of our last meetings. And I made the comment, and I want to make the same comment to Mayor Ketchern, it's nothing personal. I just thought Josh did such a great job, have no doubts that Nick can fill those shoes. But I still wanted to explore some other proposals or see what the response was. I just kind of wanted to get that much ahead of it and start gathering information. In this case, I think you know what I think about you, and I'll just go ahead and tell everybody a comment I made to you. If I've got something to pick a bone with you about, and I think I used the term dirty laundry, we can do that elsewhere and take care of it. So it's nothing against you, nothing against nothing against Steve. I had to think about that for a minute. But I was telling somebody earlier today, you know, life, if you think about it, is just one choice after another all day long. To the point, what you're going to wear, where you're going to eat, you know, should I go this way or that way? I mean, it's just full of decisions, and I'm not scared to make decisions at all. I do them a lot. The hardest ones are those decisions that you can't back up on. I have 3 of them that my wife gave, well, she gave birth to 2, another one we adopted. We can't change that. Those are the tougher decisions. And even in marriage, you know, when we got married, that's till one of us dies. I wasn't raised that that's contract with an escape clause on it, and things get kind of sticky. So those decisions are the really hardest ones for me, but others are very simple, not simple, they're easier. And to me, I would like, if the commission wants to do this, and I would rather them come up with that, all of us, rather than, these great guys. I just want to see what that looks like. Because it was like that at one point for a good while. So it seems like it works, or it can work, but a marriage will work if both parties are contributing and are invested in that marriage and willing to sit down and work things out. So this is a decision. If the full commission says, yes, this is what we want to do, we may find out in 6 months that that's the worst thing we ever could have done. But guess what? We get to turn around at another appropriate time and reverse that decision. So that's where I'm coming from. I am one of the newest ones. I think in the last meeting, I'm 3.5 years away from my first term. I wanted to see what the RFPs from the county, it had nothing to do with we don't like y'all and you're not doing a good job, so I want to go look at other attorneys. This is not that with you either. Now with me, I want to see what this may look like. I want to hear, and basically I really want to hear from other people, the rest of the commission.
Okay, our last agenda item is number 10. That's our litigation list. It's on your iPad for your review. Are there any questions about the cases? They're there for your review. Is there any other business to bring before the commission? Commissioner McAdoo.
Yes, we had a good discussion of things that we want to do, what we want to change. I remember in 2010, I brought up about decreasing the number of commissioners, and that was during the hearing, and all major issues broke loose in the county because we know one of them being the sheriff position and other positions, so we sort of dropped that. Now, I was looking at maybe the commission need to be cut down to maybe 7. And Mayor Burgess said, I don't know, maybe a number of 11. But like I said, other things jumped off and we didn't get to look at that. While we're looking at things, I would like the chairman to bring back the proper procedure for eliminating the number of 21 commissioners in Rutherford County. And I got a reason for bringing that up. The reason being, I looked at it, and the school board had a good point last month, and it hit me again. School board works with 7 representatives. They got the majority part of this budget. They got over 50,000 children, 49 to 51 schools. And if anyone needs some help, I need to increase their number. It needs to be the school board. But as we have moved on, and we have the cities has incorporated more rural territory and everything, we find ourselves with less and less rural commissioners, 100% rural commissioners. So therefore, we've been looking at other counties for chairmanship and other things, attorneys, but the numbers that I cannot get away from is that Shelby County has 13 commissioners, Hamilton County have 9, and we're sitting here with 21. And so if we're going to look at changing the way we do business, let's look at the entire package. So I would like that information.
Well, I can answer your questions for you because I led the discussion when we were doing the redistricting about trying to cut the size of the commission, and of course that went over like a lead balloon in some places. But it was a very valid point, because the bigger counties do have smaller commissions.
Right.
Small counties with 10,000 people have 20 or 25 county commissioners. It just doesn't, everybody's got a commissioner on our street, it seems.
So I would like that information brought back.
But you have to have at least 9 to 25 commissioners, that's the law. 9's the minimum that you
Right.
can have. And our private act says that the school zones follow county commission boundaries. So if we have 7 school board members,
Mm-hmm.
we can either have 14 or 21 county commissioners, because it has to be a multiple of 7. Unless you did like 7 districts and 2 at large, or something like that. You could be creative, I suppose, to make your membership. But as to reapportionment and drawing the boundaries, you could make a motion next month that at the next election, we have 9 districts,
The
14.
reason I'm bringing it up, we got to rebound it, the redistricting coming up in 2020.
It'll in 2021.
Right.
And you're right, but this body at any time can decide we're going to reduce the number of districts, increase the number of districts, change the districts before the next election. So all it takes is a motion by a commissioner to do that.
I thought it had to go to the state for,
No, the county legislative body can change the districts before the next election.
so 21 commissioners in Rutherford County is not a private act?
It's in our private act that we have 7 school board members, and their boundaries follow the county commission lines. So
So
logically,
that's the 21,
that's why we have either 14 or 21 here, but that could be changed.
yeah. But see, the 21 came about in 1978 when it was cut from half based on the state constitutional convention. Am I right? That's correct. And it was cut from 42 to 21.
42?
Well, that's correct. Correct, from 42 to 21.
Murray County, when I used to represent Murray County has 2 county commissioners per district. And a lot of times you'll have 2 people in one district that don't agree on the same way the road should run.
Wow.
So I would like this
They'll cut to
information brought back.
132 square
Quick.
miles per
For discussion.
district.
We'll generate that information and present it hopefully before the next commission, or before our next committee meeting, but we will definitely be interested in that discussion.
Okay.
Commissioner Cook.
Well, I mean, we can, I'm just curious. You talked about a lot of the commissioners are all, they have no district that is rural anymore. They're all
The
in,
majority have a
are in the city limits.
have a portion of the city municipality.
So is that where you would begin to eliminate? I mean, do you have a plan in your head as to?
I have a plan,
Okay,
but I want to make sure the plan is legal.
yeah, I
With the
understand.
information brought back first.
But
Yeah.
anytime you have a question, Commissioner, you can contact the attorney or.
I
whoever, and they
I
can-
already have.
And they can.
I already
So
have.
you've already contacted them, and so you want me to contact them and present?
No,
the
I hadn't
information?
just contacted them here recently, you know.
Okay.
But recently, since we bringing up about chairmanship and this and that, we might as well bring that up too.
We'll see what we can find.
I got a question, I'm just curious. Who would even make that choice? You going by seniority, you going by rule, you going by city? I'm just curious, not that I'm threatened or scared at all. I'm not threatened one bit. I'm just curious, how would you even decide that? Would that be a mayor thing? Would that be bring in a county attorney? Because one of the things I get upset with is everybody talks about Hamilton and Knox.
Right.
Hamilton and Knox. Well, I hate to tell you all this, but Hamilton County and Knox County are the 2 worst counties in this whole state with education. I mean, they're on the bottom 10. So maybe they should start looking at how we run things. Now, I'm just curious. I'm not trying to get in this discussion because I think it's real premature, but I'm just curious as to who would even decide that.
I would think, since we're discussing chairmanship and other issues about the way Rutherford County is governed, that we should look at the number of commissioners, and the commission would be the one to discuss it on the floor. Since we're discussing other issues, you know, all commissioners may want a chairmanship, some may not want a chairmanship, but we're going to discuss it. In the past, we have looked at decreasing the number, like he's mentioned, and other major issues came about. So while we're discussing the full restructuring of the way we do business, I would like the discussion on the number of commissioners be discussed.
Okay, is it Commissioner P?
If you don't mind, my father-in-law, or of course my wife's from Iowa, I had to go a long way wait, somebody know anything about me. But one day he came down and visited, and I'd been elected. And he found out we had 21 commissioners, and of course I was aware we used to have 42 too. Dad served when there was. But he said, well, why have you got so many? He says, Louisa County, Iowa, where he was from, has 3 supervisors, which is our equivalent. And I thought for a minute, I said, well, how many people you got in that county? He told me. And I divided it by 3, and I came up with about 8,000 people per commissioner or supervisor. And I got to thinking, I said, well, you know, my district at that time, I was roughly had 8,000 people in my district. But what I was looking at was the amount of work and things that we have thrown at us and the number of committees. The committees have actually expanded over the years because, I mean, do we need to do away with public works? No, I don't think we do. Not looking at solid waste, and that's a major headache. I mean, think of the work that committee's going to be doing. Just public works by itself. I mean, and property management. You know, we just got through building the judicial building that's probably going to need some renovations before the year's out. I mean, do we need to do away with that committee? I don't know. Then you look at your budget, you look at education, you look at public safety. I mean, do any of those? We've added those committees because of the workload. And what you're talking about doing, and you were complaining before about being a pro tem and the amount of work you were doing was pretty much full time. Well, brother, cut it down to 14 or 7 and see where your workload goes in.
Have 7 full-time.
And so that's why I have kind of a problem looking at it. I don't mind discussing it. You know, if we want to, if there's a fair way to bring them down, I don't think any one person here needs to sit down and dictate, well, we'll make this a district, we'll make this a district, we'll make this a district. You know, I'll fight that tooth and toenail with anybody, and, you know, I think whatever needs to be done needs to be decided, but I think you better be thinking really hard about the amount of work that you're doing in the committees that you're on right now, and think, well, what would I do if I had to add these other committees? Because that's basically what you're adding. You cut down to 14, you know, you're basically adding about 2/3 more to your work. Cut it down to 7, and that's 3 times. So
Full-time commissioners.
yes.
Maybe that's why the Hamilton County Commissioners make $1,200 a month.
Right.
Well, you were mentioning about some of the counties that are a little bit different. Cannon County also has 2 commissioners per district. I'm not sure how many they had, but, and I think you're right. I was thinking it was 13 was the minimum here, but evidently it's 14, so I stand corrected on that.
You look under a rock.
Is there any other business? Deputy Stanley.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We got our,
Happy birthday, by the way.
oh, thank you, that was yesterday, but thank you very much.
Belated.
We want to keep having those birthdays for sure, so. Mr. Chairman, County Commissioners, we had our 2020 census kickoff this morning, and it went very well. We had our census subcommittee there, as well as the chairmans of the subcommittee in the census. The mayors spoke, representing each city. Except for Murfreesboro, they had a representative here because they were out of town. But what I'm getting to is that they notified me that we needed a resolution to come through the full commission in supporting and sponsoring this Census 2020. So, and they needed it in April. Well, y'all are meeting tonight, so I'm bringing this up. We don't have the resolution fully drafted, but it will be by full commission time. So I didn't want to miss the opportunity to bring it up to you, and we didn't get it on your agenda, so we didn't want it to be a surprise neither. So basically, it'd be a 2020 census resolution in support and participation with the county in support of it being done in Rutherford County. That's all it is to it. We'll have the full resolution done up for you for full commission. It can be presented through steering, or if you want it at the beginning of the agenda, that would be up to you.
And members, we announced today, thank you, Mr. Chairman, just step in, we announced today that for every person that we miss in this count coming up next year in 2020, I think all the numbers nationwide have to be presented to the President of the United States by the end of 2019. And then we'll start the reapportionment process of redrawing the lines from Congress, State, Senate, State, House, and then probably County Commission as well. But for every person we miss, that's $1,091 per person that we lose. So it's that important that we get behind this this drive and make people. They've made it so much easier now. You can go online. So as you're talking to people, you can go online. If people don't like answer doors when somebody knocks, that they can go online and actually fill out how many people actually reside in that household. And it's all confidential. You can't be arrested. There's a federal law that says you can't be arrested even if you're not,
Correct. In being counted,
Being
in
counted,
the
right.
2020, you can't be
and each one
turned
of the,
in, so
each
to
one of the workers actually take an oath and they're sworn in
That's
under
right.
federal law that they can't divulge or share any of the information about where you live, how many people are in there. They just report it back for the total count.
How much was that again, Mayor?
$1,091 per person. Of course, we need every $1,091 we can get in this county, as I'll let you know.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman of the Finance Committee, it's that important for us to build schools, right?
I just want to bring that up to you so you could.
So do you need a motion to,
Yes, sir.
you need a motion? I'll make a motion to approve his rough draft.
Second. Okay. Second by Commissioner McAdoo. Is there any more discussion on that motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Is there any other business? This meeting's adjourned.
So this is Bill, and Bill.